Hello, this is Bill. Welcome back. In this video, you'll learn how to create animated or exploding text. Before playing the movie, I should mention it's going to look a little choppy in the screen recording window that you're viewing, but once you get this on a website, it's going to look much smoother. Well, I can see my playhead is on frame 1. Let me go ahead and play it. To do that, I can press Control Play or use the keyboard shortcut Enter. And there the characters go. I've got the position, the rotation, and the alpha value all changing there concurrently. And by alpha value, that is kind of the brightness. It went from a very bright red almost down to a transparent color. Well, now that we know what we're trying to create, I'll go ahead and close this window, and I'll open up a new Flash file. Well, the first step is I want to get some red characters. I'll press on my Type tool. I can see my fill color set to red, and I'll come over here and I'll type explode. And if you want, you could use your selection tool and either use your mouse or the arrow keys on your keyboard to reposition that text. Well, the next thing I want to do is break this text apart. To do that, I'm going to come up here to Modify and Break Apart, and now it's really like I've got 7 text boxes as opposed to just 1. The next step I want to do is, before doing that, take a look right here. All this information currently is on one layer. I'm now going to go ahead and break this apart. To do that, I'm going to come up here to Modify, Timeline, and I'm going to distribute that to 7 different layers. Okay? So now the E is on its own layer, the X, etc. They're all on their own layer. I'm now going to go ahead and one layer at a time, I'm going to convert these to symbols. So I've got the E selected. I'm going to come up here and Modify. I'm going to go Convert to Symbol. And if I had more time here, I could probably call this letter E. But I'm just going to go ahead and just call it Symbol and make sure Graphic is set there. And I'll go ahead and press OK. And I'll repeat this process, highlighting the X, Modify, Convert to Symbol, and so forth there. And the reason I'm doing this, going to Convert to Symbol, is it's going to allow me to do motion tweening on all 3 things: the position, the rotation, and also the alpha value, which would not be possible if I did not convert all these to symbols. So again, just coming up here, Modify, Convert to Symbol, and just a couple left here. Here's the D, and finally on to the E. Okay, I've now got all these converted to symbols, and at which point I can begin working on my animation. Okay, I'm going to come out here. Let's have this animation last 40 frames, just a little bit over, since I'm going at 12 frames per second, just a little bit over 3 frames or 3 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and hold the Shift key down, and that's going to select all those frames. So I've got frame 40 and all 7 frames selected. And I'm going to go ahead and insert a keyframe. The keyboard shortcut there is F6, or I can come up here to Insert, Timeline, and I can choose Keyframe. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and scroll on down so that's still visible. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm in frame 40. I'm going to go ahead and come over here and highlight these characters. And I can decrease that alpha value on all of them at once. I'm going to hold the Shift key down and highlight all these characters here. And to decrease the alpha value, to make that red a little bit not quite so bright, I'm going to go ahead and open up my property window. And to do that, you can go to Window and choose Properties there. Okay, right now I've got none selected. I'm going to come down here to Alpha, and you could go maybe like 5. You can actually go down to 0, but I'm going to leave it at 10% so you can actually see where the characters are when I'm finished here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Enter there, and I'll go ahead and close my property window there. Okay, so I'm now going to come back up here, start with the E, and I'm going to go ahead and move that E over. I'm going to use my free transform, and I'm going to go ahead and rotate that E a little bit. And I'll repeat that process with the X, kind of drag it off the stage here, and rotate. Let me go ahead and resize my layers so I've got a little more room here on the stage. Drag the P off, and rotate, I'm going to come over here and get that E a little closer here to the stage. And same thing with the X. Now let's drag the L down below. Rotate it. Drag the O up. Again, a little rotation there. And so forth there. And finally the E. Okay, so now I've got all those characters off the stage. I'm now going to go ahead and add some motion tweening. I could do this one layer at a time. I could right click here and go create motion tweening. Maybe I'll go with that one. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the remaining layers all at once. So I'll highlight the X layer, come down, hold the shift key down, get the bottom layer, go ahead and right click in here, and I'm going to go create motion tween. Oops, that didn't quite work. I'm going to go ahead and just repeat that process here. Right click, create motion tween, right click, create motion tween, and I should be able to do this. So let me go ahead and highlight these three layers here, and right click and create motion tween. Okay, that will work. Okay, at this point I'm going to go ahead and highlight frame 1. I'll press my enter key here, and I can see my animation occurring. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. If I was to save this and put this on a website, I'm going to go here to Control, come here to Test Movie, and what you can see is it's going to animate it, and it's going to continue doing this same process over and over. Well, what you may want to do is have it only happen one time, at which point I could come here to open up my Properties window, and Window, Properties, and I could come here to Settings. I could go to HTML, and I could turn off Loop. That would be one way, so that would only animate one time. Or what you may want to do is have it animate and then have a delay. That's what I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do. I'm going to come out here to frame 80, and I'm going to go ahead and highlight on layer E. I'm going to come down, hold the shift key down, and highlight the bottom E on layer 80. I'm now going to add some additional frames. To do that, I'll simply come up here to Insert, Timeline, and the keyboard shortcut there is F5. So now what's going to happen is it's going to animate for 40 frames, a little over 3 seconds, do nothing for 40 frames, and then would repeat that process over and over. Well, last time I showed you was Control Test Movie. Another way would be to come over here to File, and I'm going to go, I can either choose Publish Preview, or I can go Publish Settings. Let me just go Publish Preview and Default HTML here. Okay, it's going to open up Internet Explorer, and you can, here in a second, you can see the characters explode, and then there's going to be about a 3-second delay, 1, 2, 3, and it would repeat that process over and over. Well, let me go ahead and close out my browser and come back here into Flash. Well, that kind of concludes this video. Hope you now know how to create animated or exploding text. I'll catch you later. Thank you.